Hey everybody, it's Ken Compton from the Savvy Inspector, and I'm hanging out again with Coach William today, and we are talking about top producer real estate agent marketing. Coach William, welcome, sir.
Hey, Ken, what's a top producer?
Yeah, no, you know, that is a heck of a good question right there.
Yeah.
You can't go to the MLS and say, let me see a top producer. What does that person look like? So I think before you start marketing top producers, you got to say who the heck they are, don't you?
That's right. That's exactly right.
And I think everybody's definition of what a top producer is or isn't is probably a little different. At the Savvy Inspector, we say a top producer, we define them as an agent who can give you a minimum of one home inspection a month, or 12 a year. So that's the minimum number. Now, we have top producers at Southern Home Inspection Services that we get 6 or 7 a month from or more. And William, I know you guys have those too. So those are real top producers. But I think that's a pretty good definition to start with, don't you?
I do, and I think one thing that big misconception that I had, and I'm sure a lot of other folks probably do as well, it's not $1 million producer either. Agents, I don't want to say brag, but it's like a milestone for them when they hit that $1 million mark. Oh, I'm $1 million producer, and they can use that for their marketing. But what, Ken, was it you said? I think if a $1 million producer means they brought home about $30,000. Less. Yeah, so just because they are $1 million producer doesn't necessarily mean that they hit your top producer list.
I mean, you look at the home prices in Atlanta. You sell one home and you got you're $1 million producer.
Yeah, right.
While your home inspector starved.
Yeah.
So let's just look at this. So when you start looking around, and let's say the average transaction value of a home sale, so the average home sale in your area is 200 grand. Then 12 inspections will be 2.4 million for the top producer. So when you start looking for their production numbers, you have to start saying, okay, I'm looking for top producers who sold, not listed, but sold more than X. Okay, and then go above that. And Coach Wayne, we have ways that we're going to teach at the workshop that you can get at those numbers, a variety of ways to get at those numbers. And if you're in a more rural area, sometimes it's harder to get at, so we've developed other ways to get it. But that was kind of, you had a top producer that had 26 million in sales, and he chose not to market them. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, so I mean, even though they meet the financial criteria maybe that you're looking for, it was an eye opener for us. What Ken's alluding to there, that we one at the very top of the list, this guy was. But when we started looking at the average sell price of the home, it wasn't so pretty. So this guy moved a ton of property, but they weren't the properties we wanted, in our fold, because, these foreclosed, older homes, crack homes, they come with a lot of liability, and they take longer to inspect. And so although he was like in the number 3 on the list, we chose not to market to that person, because I didn't want, there's too many apples on the tree to choose that one, to have to deal with all the liability that would come with it. So
when you look at the producer's volume, you have to look at the number of units, or I call it homes units, the number of units homes they sold that corresponded to, because in this particular case, the guy did 26 million in sales, but his average transaction value was around $97,000. Yeah. And that, like we've said, is the highest liability. We can't get that much money for it. You're going to spend forever inspecting it. Why would we do that? So we took a look on William's list on the data we had gathered, and guess what happened? The next lady was down like 24 million. But when you looked at the number of transactions that involved, her transaction value average was in the $230,000 bracket. Now those are homes that we want.
That's exactly what we want.
Yeah, we chose not to market the top. This top got 26 million and went after this other lady hot and heavy.
Right, and that's proven to be so far very, very successful for us. So we continue to do that.
Now, we said in another video that we really look at real estate agents in 2 ways. We look at real estate agents as top producers and non-top producers. And there's a big reason for that, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's especially now we're facing some challenges in the market with a housing shortage and interest rates possibly rising. And in real estate, there's always something. This is a roller coaster ride, and you don't know what the next big bend is in the rail. So, so being prepared for that is is very, very important. Top producers are the ones that are going to remain when the market. It's just like home inspectors. Right now the market is super hot, and there are these home inspection classes schools are cranking out new inspectors left and right, and it's the same way for real estate agents. You know, we've got so many real estate agents in our area now, I can't keep up with them. But you watch the market slow or the bottom fall out of things, and it weeds out, you know, the weakest players very quickly. So, but the top producers are who remain. So when you first get into the business and you're trying to get things going, you know, you want to grab the low-hanging fruit and top producer, non-top producer, whatever you can get your hands on. But as you get established, I think it's critical that you build those relationships with those top producers, because they will be the last man standing.
They sure will. I mean, the recession of 2007, 2008 certainly was evidence of that. But Coach William said something right here, and I just want to follow up on it, because it's why Coach William and I are spending our time here talking to you on these videos. When make no mistake about it, the real estate agents, the real estate market is in a crisis today, and it's called inventory shortage. And it's not going to get any better for no telling how long. Okay, so what's going to happen is there's going to be over time less units to inspect, because why would I want to sell my house? Where am I going to move to?
Exactly.
So the fact of the matter is it's compounded by a whole bunch of factors, and pretty quickly within a certain period of time, there's going to be less home inspections available. So the only people that are going to last in the market are those who are really good marketers. And so this is why we're having this workshop, Bulletproof Your Business, so you can scoff at inventory shortage and rising interest rates. But if you're relying on real estate agents, non-top producers, and you're on that list, and you're relying on them as mortgage interest rates increase and the inventory shortage gets more scarce, they got no inspections for you. Okay, so we're not here trying to sell you on a workshop. We're talking to you about this is home inspection education and training that you need to make sure your business survives when others won't. Okay, we don't have high-pitch sales webinars at the workshop ever. We teach content for 90 minutes. We don't pitch. We don't sell. You paid to come to the workshop. We owe you that great educational experience. So if you can learn some of these things at the workshop and take them back and implement them into your firm, like Coach William, you always go back and implement new things. Even though you're one of the coaches, you're still a huge home inspection business owner, and you guys are learning new things and putting them in place every day.
Absolutely. You know, I'm coach or no coach, I wouldn't miss one of the workshops. It's just so much valuable information, not just from the stage, but just from the camaraderie of, you know, a ton of other great inspectors, great marketers that are there. So there's no way that you could fire me today. I'd still show up at your workshop, Ken. So, but I mean, I don't know, it sounds like a sales pitch coming from us, but I'll tell you, I've been working with Ken for many years now, and I've seen integrity all over the place. I've seen coaching clients that Ken and I both convinced that, you know, some people you can only help so much, and there comes a point where, you know, until they start to help themselves, you really can't help them anymore. And so rather than just keeping that person on board and taking their money on a monthly basis, you know, cut them loose. I have great respect for you for that, Ken, because most coaches, and I don't think there's any others out there to speak of really, but it's all about lining their pockets more than it is about actually helping people grow. And that's why I do this. I have some of our closer savvy members ask me all the time, you know, what's in it for you? They think I'm getting rich from this or something. And I'm like, look, dude, this is not about the money. I'm just so thankful for the help that's come to me from a savvy inspector early on in my career that I'm just, you know, thrilled to be able to give back and watch. And I just enjoy watching, especially some of the new folks come into this business. I got one right here close in my area, Mr. Stephen Rager. I'll throw his name out there. Has been in this, what, Kim, maybe less than a year now, about a year maybe.
Yeah.
Just watching this guy come from, you know, fresh out of the classes to embrace the marketing side of it. He gets it, and this guy's killing it. He's killing it, and it just makes you feel good inside to know that you had a hand in helping somebody do that. So enough said about that. But that's kind of where that comes from. Back to the shortage and the top producers. You know, in our area, we always fortunately kind of maintain an even quote. Not that we don't get the highs and lows, but I know some of the savvy members we're talking to are really, really struggling right now. I mean, they're just flipping out of houses. And like you said, nobody wants to list because there's nowhere to go. So we're starting to see a little of it in our area. Some of the top producing teams here are smart, and, you know, they're always looking for their niche to separate them. And I was sharing with you the other day, one team are actually offering the pods to store your furniture in until they find you a place. So here it's starting. They're starting to think. And the other big thing is as this housing shortage becomes more and more dominant, and we're already seeing this in our area. There's multiple offers on every flipping home out there. I mean, as soon as it hits the market, man, or before it hits the market, because these agents are out there, telling secrets under the table. I got one coming up in 2 weeks in whatever neighborhood, and so now they got multiple offers before they ever get the sign in the yard. And it's happened more and more every day that they're waiving the home inspection to make their offer better. And how sad is that? Not only for the client buying the home, but for us as an industry too. So these are things that we have got to be prepared for.
We do. And the reason we divide real estate agents into top producer and non-top producer is because you take, let's say you're an agent at Keller Williams. What happens is you have to pay a franchise fee to be in there. For easy math, let's say $20. So you lease office space from the broker, and let's say for easy math, it's 15 grand a year. So now you're 35,000 before you sell the first thing. You got that big nut you've got to crack. And so the people that work for 100% commission understand that the lead generation strategies they have in place will allow them to pay those overhead costs and still make way more money. And that's why they go there. So this is why we want to target top producers. They generate leads and then sales, which generate home inspections. So think about a funnel. You use one to put oil in a lawnmower. You know what a funnel is. At the top, it's very wide, and at the bottom, it's very narrow. So top producers continue to feed that funnel constantly with prospects so that sales drop out of the bottom of that funnel every month. And when you look at non-top producers, they work in offices where they pay no overhead expense, and they earn maybe 50% of the commission, maybe a little bit more, depending on where they go. But they have one strategy, and it's a 4-letter word. It's not nasty, but it's a 4-letter word. It's called hope. They hope they're on duty when somebody calls in looking for a property. Okay, Coach William, last time I looked in Wikipedia, hope wasn't a lead generation strategy.
It never worked for me.
It sure does.
Yeah, I think those days are gone. I think those agents, again, because there's less and less brick and mortar, there's no place to go and sit at a desk with your feet up waiting for the phone to ring anymore. It's getting less and less anyway. So yeah, I mean, I think that's what separates these agents, and I don't want to brag on one franchise, but I think Keller Williams, with their training and their culture, does a killer job at setting each agent up as their own identity, if you will. Where some of these other franchises, just like you said, you show up every day, and today's my day on the floor. So if somebody walks in, they're mine, and that's the kind of rotation schedule that they're on, kind of like a car salesman.
Right. Non-top producers aren't nice people. That they are. I have a lot of friends in the real estate industry, as you can imagine. Some are top producers, some are non-top producers. But here's my story. You have limited time and money. Okay, so if you're going to market somebody who might have 3 inspections for you a year, or you're going to market somebody who has a minimum of 12 for you a year, I mean, does it make financial sense to market non-top producers? To me, it makes no sense. Okay, because I want the highest return on investment I can get for both my time and my money.
Right. And I should say that we don't want to downplay other agents as well. I'm sure we'll touch on that too. But top producers is our focus. It always has been. Again, if you're fresh out of the gate, maybe not so much. You need to get what you can. But as you get established, concentrating on those. I was talking to a Savvy member the other day. That's just, he was out of it for a while. Now he's back in. And he was asking those kind of questions, and what should I do to make the phone ring now? And so I was sharing with him, just go around to your local places, try to find some agents in there, even if it's the low-hanging fruit, just get the phone ringing. But right now, I would start right now, finding out who those top producers are, get your list together. What is your plan 3 months from now? So that you're ready to go with these top producers, because it's just so critical to stay in with them.
Yeah, and I think if you're new in the business, you shouldn't market top producers right away. Williams nailed it. Think back when you were a brand new home inspector, certainly when I was, the fact of the matter is that I could have said things maybe a little differently or written them a little differently in the report, but once you got your sea legs and you really got to be smooth and you had everything together, then it's time to start marketing them so that you can get them. So, some non-top producer marketing for newbies is probably the right thing. And Coach William, they could even go to the next town over, so if they goofed up big time, they didn't poison the well at their own market.
Some folks have been known to do that. So,
they have. So let's talk about something else, because we have this concept in marketing called message to market match. And what I really mean by that is, what is it the top producer wants to hear from the home inspector? What message? In the same way, what message does a home buyer want to hear from the home inspector? So when you look at the message from a top producer, what do they really want from the home inspector? They want you to be thorough, so they don't get callbacks. Okay, they don't want callbacks, because that disrupts the relationship they have with that client. They can no longer possibly count on them to be in their sphere of influence and get referrals from them and that kind of thing. So they don't want callbacks. All right, but they also don't want you to nitpick them to death. You know, they don't want you to be scary when you deliver your inspection findings. Okay, so I think that's the thing. And one of the things, if you're a non-top producing agent, you're more inclined to use a different home inspector right away. But if you're a top producer, are you going to gamble on your sales with just any old home inspector? I don't think so, Coach William. Do you think that?
Right, and I tell folks all the time, there's a reason why they're a top producer, and it's because, all of us know that we're only as good as the team we surround ourselves with. And top producers have established that team. They have that inspector or a couple inspectors who they know, like, and trust. And so it's tough. You got to, the best you can hope for, and we absolutely market this way. We want to be number two. Yeah, we understand that you have number one. You have a relationship with them, somebody you know, like, and trust. That's what we want. I wouldn't want to disrupt that in any way. But the first time he's sick or on vacation or overbooked, our phone's waiting for for your call. So yeah, I think it's very, very important. You talk about the message to market match, and of course with real estate agents, there's one message, and that's simply that we're not going to kill your deal. We're not going to say or do something stupid. We remain professional. We are a complement to your sales process. That's our message. And Kayla, she gets tired of it. She's like, do I have to? It's the same old thing. Won't kill your deal. Won't kill your deal. And I said, I don't care how you slice it, dice it, sugarcoat it, twist it, turn it, however you want to, but that message remains the same on almost every, and I venture to say every marketing piece that we put out there. It may be said in a different way, a foreign language of some sort, but it's still, we will not kill your deal, because that's what they want. I mean, why say anything else? Anything beyond that is a sales pitch.
Right. Before home inspectors blow a gasket, we have to define, we won't kill your deal. Basically means we're going to be thorough so you don't get callbacks, and guess what happens is, we're going to communicate our inspection findings in a neutral, non-scary manner. I mean, I don't see in the standards of practice of any home inspector association that says you must present your findings in a scary way. Yeah. So you can do a second inspection. Really? That's not how it works. And people that do that, don't last in the business that long.
And we have fun with it. I don't drive it home as do or die kind of thing. We have a lot of fun with it, and I've even got the big yellow button you've seen that says, I hate stupid home inspectors, and I'll wear that around into offices. And it's a conversation starter, and people get a chuckle out of it. The old saying that you used years and years ago was, there are two places you don't want to hear, oh my gosh, and that's during brain surgery and a home inspection. And we do so many lunch and learns and classes and CE around here that I'll start almost every class that way, and I don't have to say it anymore. I can say, you guys tell me there's two places, and they'll repeat it back to me. So I've definitely drove that message home, and they get a kick out of it.
So when we're marketing non-top producers, and there might be some instances where you did that. For instance, you're marketing the top producers in a Keller Williams office, and the other ones aren't a top producer for you, but they have the potential to be. So you might do some what I call non-top producer marketing there. You can say things like, did the last home inspector kill your deal? Or you can make those kinds of things. But when you're marketing top producers, you have to have a very different message to market match. It's still thorough and not scary, but what happens is they've hand-picked that home inspector. They like them. Think about the relationship you have with the top producers that you market with now. You're part of their team. They like you, they know you, they trust you, they think you're an expert, they don't think you're scary. And so if another home inspector is sending a marketing piece calling that home inspector stupid and a deal killer, we wouldn't say the word stupid, but that they're a deal interrupter, then aren't you really calling the top producer stupid because she selected them?
Yeah, you have to be careful.
I mean, you really got to custom tailor that match. So we wrote a direct mail piece not long ago, and we used a lumpy mail, a foot. And our message was, we just are trying to get our foot in the door. Okay, we haven't called the real estate agent stupid. I mean, stupid because she picked the wrong home inspector. She likes the guy. Okay, but we're just letting her know we want our foot in the door. And then we continued on with a message. William said earlier, we positioned ourselves as number two. You know, that person can't get to you for whatever, we call it a relationship disrupt. The agent has a relationship disrupt with the top producer. Who they gonna pick? The person who's been working them. And we say right in there, William, in the letter, we know that you have a home inspector that you do business with today that's on your team, and we know that you know him, like him, and trust him, and we value that. The top producers that work with us feel the same way about our firm. But if that person is unavailable or for whatever reason can't get to you, you can. And then we reemphasize what's in it for the top producer by using our firm. And when you go that way with top producers, they think not only, you know, if I have a need, I'm going to use these guys, but they also think you're a pretty sharp marketer, don't they?
They do, and we use that tactic all the time. Even in the classes when I'm, you know, doing CE or whatever, I make it very clear that, you know, if you have an inspector who you know, like, and trust, and you've got that relationship with them, you know, I don't want to disrupt that at all. But again, that's what we want. We want that relationship with you as well. So if the opportunity ever comes that you can use our services, and we do. We have agents that call sometimes. You know, there's other savvy members here that are in the group. That one of them is a one-man shop. He covers the Louisville area. He stays extremely busy. I called him the other day to see about using his infrared camera, and he's booked out like 2 weeks out, and demanding top dollar. So guess what? You know, that's one of the disadvantages of being a one-man shop. You can only do so much, and the door opens for somebody like me to step in because you're already booked. So those are the opportunities we're looking for as a multi firm to keep ourselves busy. So yeah, so I can't harp on that enough. I will say, you know, I don't want to downplay the non-top producers too much. I mean, that's how most folks out of the gate build their business, and there are ways to keep that relationship going as well, and touching base with especially new agents. There's some savvy members that we're working with now, and our firm ourselves is getting ready to do one here next week, a shadowing program. So as new agents come on board, they need to go through and understand what an inspection is all about. So we're putting together a really cool program for that. So because today's new agents are tomorrow's top producers, right? So building those relationships with them now, I think, is another great thing to do. If they do survive any kind of downplay in the real estate business, we'll have those in our fold in the future.
And you will get business from non-top producers, but our big thing is, where are you going to spend your time and money? On those that can give you a few inspections a year, or those that can give you inspections every month. So I wouldn't want to alienate any non-top producers. But am I going to do direct mail, lumpy mail with them? No. Am I going to go on there and do videos with them and other things with them to help them try to get additional leads? No, I'm not. But I'll certainly take their business all day long.
Sure.
But I'm not going to spend as much money on them. I might do a lunch and learn in an office that I was targeting, and that would include everybody, or speak at a sales meeting, things like that. But you have to really say, I have X amount. I said the only person that doesn't have a budget is the federal government. Maybe that's going to change. The fact of the matter is, they can just coin additional cash. You can't.
Right.
So there's only 100 pennies in a dollar. Where are you going to spend them to get the maximum return on investment?
Right. And you know, I guess it's another thing we're saying that we've seen happen. Not that we planned it that way, but it just works out that way. Top producers know who the other top producers are. So if you can get a top producer under your wing, and especially if you do really good with them and get an endorsement to put out there from that top producer, I think that helps open up the doors to other top producers, because they envy each other just like we do successful home inspectors. So I think once you knock down that one domino, if you will, it helps knock down the rest of them, because well, Sally over here, who's a multi-million-dollar top producer, uses this company and she has great luck. Maybe I should add her to my list as well. So once you get in an office like that, we've just experienced that ourselves. Once you knock down that barrier, it helps you to expand your reach, your circle.
And we're certainly going to do teaching those strategies at the workshop. We've got some that are just absolutely fantastic in extending your reach and leveraging the relationship you have with a top producer to get other ones in the firm. So that'll be one of the strategies we'll teach as well. So when you leave, you can just put these action items right into place, and boom, start extending your reach. So Coach William, top producers, need to understand what they are, who they are, where they are, how you're going to reach them, and we're going to be teaching every bit of that at the workshop.